So meet my friend, George Ira Carroll. Say hello.
Hello.
All right. The reason I brought George in today, and I'm actually at his vision board workshop, is because, well, we're talking about vision boards, and I thought who better to do it than George. So would you tell them, my viewers here, in 1 to 2 sentences, like what you do and what you're all about?
Good question. So what I do is I primarily work with entrepreneurs and I help them unleash their badass, so to speak. And I believe that inside of us there's a badass that's waiting to be unleashed. And so when people tap into like that core authentic part of them, they come out completely authentic and real, and it's a lot more magnetic for their businesses as well. And they get to have a lot more fun because they get to be themselves.
Cool.
And so it's trying to figure out who are they at the core, bringing that part out of them so that they can run their business, and also strategy and action and mindset.
Awesome. So you work with people all the time to do that? You do workshops and stuff?
Yeah.
I love it. And you're spreading out. You're more than Denver and all that now, right?
I am, yeah. Towards the middle of last year, I started traveling all over the country, doing different seminars, workshops for entrepreneurs and business people, and just absolutely love it.
Sweet. So definitely look out for George Ira Carroll. He might be in a city near you. But really the reason I wanted to talk to you today was because I wanted to know 2 specific things.
Okay.
One is, how do you go about putting together a vision board that works for you? What are 1 or 2 things that you think are essential in putting together a vision board?
You know, I'm really visual, and so it kind of makes sense, connecting with the vision board. But I'm really visual, so images that connect with me on an emotional level. Also words. So here's an example of my vision board. So as you can see, it's got, sports clients up here. This year I want to master time. So the watch is sort of a symbol, an image that allows me to remember I want to master time. I've got my financial goal here, which is 200 grand, and a magnet that's pulling the money in. I've even got a statement that I repeat to myself here every single day, and it just helps remind me at a deep level of what I want to create. I've got, exploration, staying curious, my financial goals, the place I want to move into, the body. And so it's a mixture, for me, it's a mixture of like images that inspire me, and down here are all the leaders that, I admire. And so it's a mixture of words and phrases and also images that bring out like a powerful emotion within me.
Nice. Where do you put your vision board?
It's right next to my bed. So the minute I get up and I roll out of bed,
It's right there.
Yeah, it's like one of the first things that I do before I even start my day.
Cool,
Yeah.
Awesome. And the other thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you think is the #1 reason that vision boards may not work for some people? Is that hard to boil down to one thing?
It is. But there's a couple of things that come to mind. The first thing is that people will create a vision board and then they won't do anything with it.
Sure.
They'll put it in their closet or they'll put it on their shelf, and they won't utilize it in a way to create some focus and momentum. That's one way that it doesn't really work.
Sure.
The other way is, what comes to mind at least, is when people create these goals and these visions for themselves and they doubt themselves. They say to themselves, I can't really do this. It's kind of a fun experience, but I can't really achieve these goals. And then they put it away and nothing ever happens.
Right.
So I think those are the 2 biggest things that at least I notice.
I think it's hard sometimes, especially when you put a big goal out there, something that you want to achieve over a lifetime, to not compare yourself to where you are now versus where you'd like to be. Do you have any strategies to maybe get around that a little bit?
Yeah. There's a couple of ways that people create vision boards. Number one is like the big visions, like the billions of dollars, the huge mansions, the owning the island. And then there's more of a way to focus it. And for me, it's just been more effective to focus it on a specific year. So that way, instead of it being way out there,
right,
it's like right here in front of us. And it just seems more doable, more achievable, and for me at least, it just inspires me more to take the action to get there because it's closer. I can feel it, I can sense it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what is I didn't plan on this question, but I want to know what's one of the stories that you that you have where vision boards have worked for you? What's one of the coolest things you've ever brought to life from a vision board?
Great question. My first vision board was the big vision. But I had a picture, and I made this picture of me in front of an audience. The truth of the story is that it was an image of when I was out partying and dancing, and it was a side view of me, and I was doing one of these dance moves like this, and it caught it from the side, and there was just a bunch of people back here in the background. So it looked like I was communicating to an audience.
Oh, sweet.
So I put that image on the board, and that resembled a symbol of me public speaking and speaking inspirationally and all that stuff.
Very cool.
So that's real now, which is cool.
I like putting some symbolism in my board rather than, I like having targets, but sometimes it shows up a little bit differently. So that's why I like, when I did my vision board today, I chose stuff that would represent the energy of what I wanted, and to see like, okay, so maybe there's some different possibilities for the ripped body. Maybe it'll come from some different things. That's what I like to play with. I did something with a car. I manifested a car a couple years ago, and it wasn't any of the cars I had on the board. And I think because I chose the energy, it allowed for me to find a car that was going to work for me better than what I'd actually put on the board. I chose the utility, the energy.
So
that's been fun.
What would you share based on your experiences? I mean, other than what I've said, maybe a different view for the audience.
Well, I think it's that choosing it based on the energy. It's really easy to put up all the flashy things that you want to physically show up in your life, and there is by no means anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I know what has worked for me is choosing the energy behind it. So, so if you're putting something on there for a relationship, it may not be the girl that's, brunette and 5'8" and, this and this. It's choosing the energy of that person being a symbol and somebody being nurturing for you and a constant expansion for you. You do the same thing with your business or, your body and other things like that. So for me, it's been not getting too caught up in the actual detail of what it is, and being more focused on the energy and representation, the symbolism that it has for me.
So are you saying that there's no right way to do this?
Oh my God, you can't do it wrong.
Interesting.
That sounds like fun. So anyway, vision boards have worked for me and George. I encourage you to try that out for you, see what kind of magical things you can create. And what's the worst that could happen? You could end up ripped like George.
I wash my clothes on my stomach.
I mean, at least you know where you're headed and what you'd like to do. So even if you don't do the actual vision board, it's definitely good to look at where you want to go.
One metaphor I'd love to leave, if I may, is the metaphor of a GPS. And it's like the first thing that we got to do is put in the destination, right? And then the GPS can kind of calculate where we are based on where and in relationship to where we want to be. And a lot of our brain works that way, and that when we have that destination, our brain will tell us, what direction to take, what decisions to make, if we're clear on the destination. The most amazing reality of that is when we get a brand new car, we tend to see them everywhere we go because we got so focused on the car.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah.
It totally happened to me.
It happens with all of us because we get so focused on the car, our brain is so, okay, this is the target, and then it opens up our filters to say, okay, there it is, there's another one. And it works the same with vision boards once we get really clear. So obviously I'm really passionate about it.
Yeah, me too. It's cool. And I'm glad that we got to chat about it today.
Yeah, man, me too.
So thank you all. Thank you, George. And where can they find you if they want to get a piece of you?
Find a piece of me at www.georgeiracarroll.com.
Boom, we'll put it here in the bottom. You guys can check George out. I love this guy. He helped get me started in some places where I wasn't doing so hot. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man.
Pleasure.
Ernest's going to make you stand there and smile.